Now last week we took a look at the Core 2 Quad Q6600, and it was a rather in-depth look back at the chip across 3 different versions of operating systems with the latest Windows 10, Linux, and even Windows 7, which is what the PC's running here. But the one thing we couldn't get the chip to do properly, at least not with a modern graphics card, was to run Windows 11. So today I want to set ourselves a bit of a challenge. Can we actually run Windows 11 on a 20-year-old processor? Is it usable, and does it have any distinguishable advantages over running something, say, like Windows 10, Linux, or Windows 7? Because maybe we're missing a trick here. So I promised people we'd be back with this system, and it's one of the reasons why I haven't moved it off the desk. Because today we're going to find out, can Windows 11 do absolutely anything for this here Q6600? So we left the system here running with an R9 Nano just as a bit of a high-end flagship of the era, and the system is also running Windows 7. So it's been running absolutely fine here, but the one thing we just couldn't get to work was Windows 11. It would just constantly get stuck in a blue screen loop, and it didn't matter what we tried, older drivers, anything like that. When we were trying to run it with a 6700 XT, we could not get it functional. But what I want to try today is going back to Windows 11, and we're going to try and do absolutely everything with it. I want to live the Windows 11 experience. We're going to try using the store. We're going to try using the built-in apps. We're going to try and be the average consumer on Windows 11. Yes, that is a person that does exist out there. Hard to believe, I know. And then I also want to ask the question, if we debloat it all, does it have any noticeable advantages over something like Windows 7, Windows 10, or Linux? Is there a reason to use Windows 11 on your old Core 2 Quad PC? So I do believe I've got an SSD already set up for this if we turn this off. So this is just set up with Windows 11 23H2, which is the last version that will run on a Core 2 Quad. There is a long old video on the Core 2 Quad in case you're wondering how this install came about, but it's mostly us being stuck in a blue screen loop before we give up, which is why today's video exists. Take out our Windows 7 drive, and we can plug back in the Windows 11 drive. But I do want to run a modern graphics card. That is challenge number 1, because last time we just could not get a modern graphics card running on here. There shouldn't be any blue screens because, well, we've never ran the R9 on this system. We've only ever ran the 6700 XT. But just as a quick recap of how the system is running, we're running an overclocked Core 2 Quad, 8GB of DDR3. Yes, DDR3 does exist here, and we've currently got the R9 Nano. So we can easily boot up to Windows 11, but the problem we were having last time was it just constantly decided to get stuck in a blue screen loop. So we'll quickly just install some AMD drivers. We do have the Navi 22 drivers for the 6700 XT, so I almost want to write that one off just because of how problematic it was. But we do have modern Nvidia cards on the channel, which is one thing I do want to try. But we'll start with the R9 Fury, see if that survives, and then I say we go ahead and throw in something RTX. But this is full-fat Windows 11 with all the bloat on here. What apps do you get installed? I have actually never bothered to check what we actually get with Windows 11. Clipchamp, I do quite like Clipchamp. It's pretty cool. It's like a modern version of Movie Maker, so we'll try that. We've got Cortana, Feedback Hub, Films and TV, Mail, Maps, Media Player. Media Player's pretty good. Office, which you have to pay for, and I unfortunately have to pay for every bloody month. OneDrive, Outlook, Paint, the new version of Paint, that is. Solitaire, Voice Recorder, the Weather app, Xbox. While AMD's drivers are going through and installing though, why don't we write down some features of Windows 11 that we're going to test? Yay! What a fun thing to do. And then we can see if these fail when we're done. So we want to test Clipchamp, Xbox, Game Record, try the store. I actually have already forgotten what ones actually exist on here that may be somewhat useful. The weather. Voice recorder? Sure, voice recorder. I have to write these down or I'll forget them because they are so... They're thrilling, sorry. Cortana. We are the average Windows 11 consumer and I'm so excited for calculator. What would Doris want when she scrolls through the start bar on her new Lenovo laptop from Currys? She wants McAfee, but she's not getting that. She's excited about Paint. She loves Paint. She sends bitmaps to her grandkids and sticky notes. So here is our main list of what the average person is going to look at. They're going to Clipchamp something, game record something, try the store, use the weather app, use the voice recorder, use Cortana, calculator, use Paint, and then make a sticky note. I think these are the features the average Windows 11 consumer wants to use. But then, of course, we will test to see if this is a viable operating system at all on a system like this. See, it's around this point it should blue screen, or did blue screen, when we were using Navi. Oh, no, it's died. Well, some good news is that when you run a period-accurate graphics card like the R9 Fury, the latest official drivers, which are quite old now, do actually work. I mean, these are nearing in on 4 years out of date. We're going for the most authentic experience. This is the Doris experience. She's just turned on a computer that her grandson set up for her. For some reason, he gave her an R9 Nano. I just want to go into a game real quick and double check it works. I'm in a bit of a conundrum because we're doing the Doris experience and I need to download DirectX, so I click the link and it wants to offer me the free Bing TM bar. Try the Bing bar today. It is a fast way to search and make decisions and gives me access to breaking news. Yes, I will install this. I don't know who Mr. DirectX is, but he asked to install on my computer, so I'm installing him. Well, I've loaded up Majong, but it looks a bit different compared to how I'm used to it looking, and performance is pretty good so far. I mean, we're seeing pretty much a bang-on locked 60 FPS here. We're doing pretty good, to be fair. We are hitting around anywhere from 50 to 65 FPS with the highest settings. The one thing I have noticed on Windows 11, and we're going to see if it's still the case here, is the world does load in a lot nicer. Yeah, there is less noticeable world loading in around you occurring, which is nice, because as nice as it is to use the R9 Fury, that's not the point of today's video. The point of today's video is we want to use something ray tracing. RTX, Windows 11, fancy, modern world, Q6600. What better card than the weird RTX 4010? It's an A400 that runs game-ready drivers from China. This has worked on every PC I've ever tried, so given that no modern AMD graphics card will work, maybe a modern, kinda-ish, weird Nvidia card could work here. And it'll give us RTX, ray tracing, fun stuff. I think this has like 4 ray tracing cores, it's not many. And in goes the RTX 4010. Is RTX too much for you? It's making all the normal fan noises it makes when it wants to post. Oh, no it does, and displays the screen fine. I believe I found our problem, so it will boot with RTX. But it will not boot with RTX and an overclock, because when we go back and reset the system, and it goes back to defaults, it works. Yep, it's just not happy with the overclock at all. Right, just run default settings for now. Okay, we're finally booting to Windows 11 with the RTX card in place. We are booting to a black screen of Windows 11 with the RTX card in place. Oh, RTX is not having a good time, but if it installs drivers, it's beaten AMD, but currently it doesn't even look like it wants to get past the Windows launch screen. Okay, it's updating. It's taken half an hour. We've finally got it to accept that Windows 11 exists on here. Oh, there we go. So the post time takes around 5 minutes. Been timing it to work out just how long we have to wait. Right, first thing we're going to do is load up the Nvidia drivers. But we may have a chance to run something modern on Windows 11 very soon, which is this. Given the less than legitimate origins of the 4010, this will install as a 4090D if it works. Keep in mind, all it has to do to beat AMD's new cards is to not get stuck in a blue screen loop. Well, it's been doing this for quite some time now. I'm going to give it another 15 minutes. It is still reading things and doing bits and pieces, but it hasn't blue screened yet. It's just taking a long time. Well, I walked away and I've come back and it's turned off, which means we now have to wait another anywhere from 30 seconds to half an hour. It's kind of varied on how long it takes to post, but after that, hopefully, it didn't blue screen. Usually when it turns off, it's because it's blue screened. But there is a chance it did install the drivers. I'll be back in half an hour once this is turned on. I love these videos. These are so fun to make. I love waiting half an hour every time the computer turns off, because there is no other option than to wait for it to turn on. That wasn't too bad. That was only a 5-minute boot on time. I'll take that. Yes, Core 2 Quad, 8 gigs of RAM, 4090D. Yes! 4090D. That means ray tracing. It does appear that modern Nvidia cards will work on Windows 11 and a Q6600. These aren't really Doris tests, But these are modernization tests, which is very important to do before we start being Doris, because Doris is using... Actually, this is quite a Doris system other than the graphics card. Because don't you worry, my list is going absolutely nowhere. When I say we're testing Windows 11, I'm gonna do all of these on a Core 2 Quad. Because there was some people that complained. Not many people, but some people did say down in the comments, oh, you said you were going to try Windows 11. We're giving you what you wanted. You wanted Windows 11. Here it is. And I've written the list. Well, I wouldn't say it feels any different to using the AMD graphics card because it's running about the same 30-ish FPS. Maybe slightly under because we probably are actually using the graphics card to a degree. In fact, dare I say this actually feels like it's running a tiny bit smoother. That's probably just because I can't see the frame rate it's running at. Feels controllable, not crashing. I'm going to call that a success. I'm going to say we've managed to get a modern graphics card on here, a modern operating system, it's all up to date, we're running the latest drivers, everything's golden. Which means it's time to actually begin testing Windows 11 properly. As the consumer first, and then maybe as people that care. Well, it's now about time to begin the real Windows 11 testing. Now that we have the system set up and working with an RTX graphics card. So why don't we go through. Step 1. We need to make a sticky note. That's test number 1. Sticky notes needs an update. Okay, we can't even use sticky notes at the moment. Is it actually pulling an update? It is using 100% of our processor to use sticky notes. Sticky notes is gone. Oh, it's back. I have to sign in to use sticky notes. No, I don't have to sign in. It just opens a sticky note. It wants me to sign in again. No. To take out money to go to bingo with my good friend Deborah. She loves... Everybody loves Raymond. That's our sticky note. Got to keep that one up. I need to take up money to go to bingo. I'm going to call sticky notes a giant success. But how much money should I take to bingo? I better use my calculator. So if it's £15 for entry and there's a £5 bonus pot and there's 2 of us, I need to take out £40 and I can add that to my sticky note. I need £40 for bingo to win big. I wonder though, should I make that bold? Yes, I will. Calculator test. It works. But the thing is, could the weather tonight be bad? I better use the weather app. I've never touched this app before in my life. Oh, it's good. There's very little pollen. It's very slow. And the rain is 144 kilometers away. It feels like 8 degrees. I better bring a coat. Oh, an advert. The new £25 per month private medical insurance. I better click this. This is part of the weather app, is it? Why I should get medical insurance. 62 Old Person Avenue, Boomerville, in Slough, Doris, at rocketmail.com, and I was born 1929. You'll receive a call on the number you provided, which was 123456. But I need my healthcare, the weather app told me. Well, that's good. The weather app may have scammed me into giving away my private information. What a useless app full of adverts. Well, we can tick that off. The weather app works. I think our next job is to try the store. This is how older people use their computer. What are the games I might need? They just get worse. Yes, I'm going to download this new fandangled game everyone's talking about, Project Grand Auto Town. Well, it is downloading, but in case anyone was wondering how I found this, I typed in Majong. So yes, to get a hold of, what is this game? Project Grand Auto Town 3D. I searched Majong and it was the first free game. This seems like the type of thing an old person would do, is they would download the first game that comes up for Majong. So my Majong is installing. It's almost done. Right, it's ready. Play. Oh, I can't wait to play some Majong. Play games, earn coins, plant trees. Project Grand Auto Town, also known as Majong, apparently, according to the Microsoft Store. I've seen this font before. They had this on Super Mahjong 3D. Go and get the blue BMW M2, then drive it to the Carl's garage. Oh, he's laggy. How do I play Mahjong? M2. I need to put my glasses on for this one. Fella needs the toilet quite urgently. I'm getting a headache, and I just wanted to play Mahjong. I don't think this should be on the Microsoft Store, to be honest. I'm noticing that it seems to be infringing on multiple brands and probably a multitude of games, and also it runs so bad. It's kind of like Mahjong. Oh, I don't know what's happening. I think I've broken something. I'm going to call that a success. We did try the store, and we tried to download Majong. Ticking that one off as well. That's off the list. I have no idea if Cortana is still in Windows anymore, but we're going to use it. What was Cortana even for? Let's open it up. It's an advertised feature. It usually pops up in the corner, telling me to use Copilot. Hello, Cortana. Verify I am a human. I want to bake a cake for my grandkids. They love oatmeal and cement brownies. Make sure not to skimp on the cement mix. They love it when the cookies, they're not cookies, when the brownies bite back. That sounds like a sweet plan for your grandkids, but I need to step in gently here. Anything involving cement mix or other non-food substances could be seriously dangerous if eaten. It wants to make heavy-duty oatmeal cement brownies safe but tough as nails. Can you replace the sugar with cement? It doesn't want to do it. This cement powder is non-toxic. It's explaining how non-toxic in construction materials doesn't mean it's safe to eat. This is fun, edible cement. Enough back chat, Bing. Grandkids are upset now. Stove's gone cold. Day's ruined. Off to bingo now. If you were my grandson, you'd be on the naughty step. It's given up. I've told it it's on the naughty step and it won't make our cement brownies. It's a shame. The replacement for Cortana, it does seem less stupid than it used to be. So, I'm going to say Cortana worked. Tick that one off. That one did actually function better than expected. What have we got next? I think next on the list, we're going to try voice recorder. Earphone microphones. We're not going to use my actual microphone. Does my microphone not work? I'm actually going to have to investigate sound settings. Don't worry, everyone. I found a USB microphone. So we aren't going to be defeated. We're going to plug this in. What if I want to use the voice recorder like people do? As all these people are saying. We've got the Logitech. Look at that. It's picking things up. So now if I go to my voice recorder. Hi, I'm using my Windows 11 computer. And it's really good. It has so many features that I know and love, such as Clipchamp and the weather app, and a scary version of Majong that I struggled to play very well. But I am really trying to get on with things with sticky notes and calculator, and the new version of Cortana, which isn't Cortana, it's an angry version of Bing that doesn't like working with me very much. But I love Windows 11 so much on my mesh PC and 20-year-old processor with RTX graphics now, because my grandson came over and fitted them, and now Majong is still scary, but it runs better now, and that's good. Well, there's our voice recording done. So we're going to rename that as important. Well, according to my list, that leaves 3 things for us left to test, which is the game recorder, the Clipchamp, and the paint. And I think we try and do all of these combined together to try and make a video using our game recording, edit it in Clipchamp, make a thumbnail in Paint, and then see if it'll let us publish that to YouTube. And we'll publish that because chances are that'll go out before this video does. And then if you watch that beforehand, tell me, because I'm sorry. I'm going to need a new game. I'm gonna go to the store. And I'm gonna download a new version of Majong. You know what? Russian Mafia Gangster City 3D. That sounds so good. That's just like the Majong I grew up playing. Memory optimizations, bugs fixed. The game used to crash. Oh, it's only 1.8 megabytes. That's good. That's good. I was worried there we might be a while. Play. The games frontier. Have they had any recent games? Oh, they got Modern Birds Russian Hunter. I knew these guys were good. I knew these guys, I've always said UK Arts Games, one of the best Is it gonna work? I want to record and make my gameplay video. I want to use all of my Windows 11 features. I'm using my sticky notes. I'm gonna make a sticky note to remind me because I get very forgetful these days. Make hit gaming video on Majong. Okay, Russian Mafia Gangster City 3D doesn't work. Are there any other more versions of Majong up on here? Oh, they got Extreme Ninja Fights. Oh, that's cool. Oh, we play as Dude? I've always wanted to play as Dude. Okay, that one's ready. Store, $50. Oh, I'm not paying $50. Okay, how do we record? Is it window? Okay, we brought up the game bar. Okay, it has recognized Ninja Warrior Crime City. I want to record. Oh, it's recording. Come on, Ninja Warrior Crime City up in this. Oh, he's good. He's good. Oh, we don't get to play as Guy. We have to fight Guy. I bet the Core 2 Quad is doing so good right now. Oh no, he's gonna win. He's gonna win. Oh, look at these flips. Look at these flips. Enemy gang has kidnapped my girl space friend. Now it is time to teach them a lesson. Use the navigation arrow to reach your girl space friend. Kill them all. You have knives to help them kill them easily. That's, first person. Oh, this must be part of the remaster. First person. Well, we got some good gameplay there. What does it look like? I hate to say it, I believe the game recorder is actually quite good. Okay, that's good, that's good. That's good, I like that. That's good, I can't fault it. Right, that works. People don't use era-appropriate editing software. They just fire up what's built in. And to be fair, as a built-in editor, Clipchamp's not too bad. Yeah, do whatever you want. Create a new video from scratch. I think we need like a cool intro. Oh yeah. So he's gonna show up here and he's gonna be like, whoa. And then it's gonna have add text. How to win Mahjong Microsoft Store 2026. Oh yeah. Look at that. We'll have that over the top of each other. And then people will be like, this is how I beat Mahjong. How do I add audio? Hey guys, I downloaded this version of Mahjong off the internet. It was the Microsoft Store version, and I was searching for Mahjong, but I didn't want to pay for Mahjong. And this is the second one I downloaded. Well, actually, it's the third, because the first one was bad, and the second one, they said they'd fix the bugs where the game wouldn't crash, but I played it and it crashed. It just wouldn't load. But this was the third option for Mahjong, or something like that. And in this version of Mahjong, you play as a ninja, and if you want gold, it's like $50. I want some music. Like, what music have we got? Can we add like more ninjas? And he should do that. And then we'll just have it come to an abrupt end. It's actually doing it's not actually having to do any 4K files whatsoever. But we'll render that out, and we'll get that uploaded. But we need to make a thumbnail. I think if we give it like size 72 Comic Sans, I miss the old version of MS Paint. Can we add like a star over these guys? Oh, he could have a thought bubble. Don't beat me at Mahjong. Paint works. Can we save this as a bitmap? Oh, we'll save it here so we can export it to YouTube. Thumbnail. I think that's virtually everything we had to test on Windows 11. And most of it's bad, but Paint still works, which is something. We were actually able to go ahead and make a video on the system. The video is pretty terrible, to be honest, because yes, you can use this software, but it is a tad slow on the Q6600, and I had no way of checking audio, so I'm just going to let the first 20 seconds of the video play, and you can witness this masterpiece that was made using Microsoft Clipchamp on admittedly a 20-year-old processor, but the full upload is available in 4K because we did export this in a 4K file and is available on the second channel, which is where those comments earlier came from because I stuck true to my word and I did actually upload this a few days ago. Hey guys, I downloaded this. Windows 11 does have a surprising amount of useful tools. I mean, most of them are completely useless, but there are a couple of standouts. Really, I can't fault Clipchamp. It is a good replacement for Movie Maker, and does work surprisingly well to do what it says on the tins. It is a replacement for Movie Maker, it makes basic movies, and has some really rather advanced features that are unfortunately just limited away behind the simplicity of it. If they added an advanced mode, honestly, it'd be a really capable bit of kit, but it does work here. The game record function and the game bar, I don't particularly like them, but they do work for what they say they will do, and is surprisingly lightweight for the quality you get out of it, to the stage where we were able to actually do some game recording on a Q6600. The problem is, though, when you start getting much further away from this, you've got things like Calculator, which, yeah, it's not that offensive, it's the calculator, and it does work. It uses a surprising amount of RAM to work, but it does. Same goes for the voice recorder. It works fine. But then, you know, you've got things like sticky notes, where you've got about 8 million pop-ups before you can actually make the sticky note itself. Cortana just redirects straight to Copilot these days. And the weather app. Why are there adverts in a weather app? Just why? Why would you even do that? And the Microsoft Store. It's not the worst thing in the world, because if you know what you're looking for, you can find it, and it usually does work. But on the other hand, there is just so much garbage on there that it just repeats the same spam to you over and over again, even if it's got nothing to do with what you were searching for. I mean, we were searching for Majong and found Grand Theft Auto. It wasn't Grand Theft Auto, it was Project 3D Crime City Mega Ninja. I don't even know what it was called, but that's the type of dirge you find on there, because that's what is available on the store. A lot of dirge. If we take a step away though and stop laughing about Windows 11, it does function remarkably well on a Q6600, even in its bloated and terrible state that it ships with, and this version's still quite out of date compared to the amount of bloat you get today. But at the same time, if you strip away a lot of this bloat, it's not too bad of an experience. I mean, it's snappy enough as it is on even a 20-year-old processor, as long as you're running an SSD, and of course, when you take away a lot of this bloat, it does actually still feel quicker than Windows 10. I don't know whether it's the RAM management and bits and pieces like that. I'd imagine if you were using DDR2 or maybe even just DDR1 memory on a Q6600, it'd probably feel worse. But at the same time, it did feel slightly smoother than Windows 10 after we'd gone through and debloated things, so I was messing around with the system a bit more just to get a feel for how it runs when it's debloated. It's not too interesting, which is why I've decided to do it in post as a voiceover, just to recap it all, but you do get a little bit more performance over the standard Windows 11 and its bloated form. I've actually got the figures for you, and as we can see, Windows 11 Pro in its stock form scores remarkably the lowest score, but between Windows 7 stock, Windows 10 IoT, and Windows 11 Pro debloated, there is pretty much no difference to the overall performance, at least in terms of TimeSpy CPU score, which is a physics test and is very reminiscent of real-world performance. So by debloating Windows, even on an old processor like this, you do get around a 10% increase in performance just from getting rid of all that junk. I don't think anyone's really going to mind losing it, but all it really does is put you back to where you were on Windows 10 and Windows 7, so no real change there. But if you are going to be running an older processor, yes, you do get a free performance boost by going through and sorting out your system with a debloat. But to return to a more serious note after that introduction section, which is primarily what this video is about, it was going through and actually seeing what from Windows 11 does actually work on a Core 2 quad, because we did get it working. But at the end of the day, I did want to see if there was any noticeable gaming advantages to using Windows 11. Now, of course, we have to ignore the fact that to be able to use a powerful graphics card, we have to run without an overclock, which is one detrimental part probably to do with my setup, as people have reported on some of the even higher end boards than this, they have got Windows 11 working with overclocks and Core 2 quads. For me personally, when you start getting into RTX graphics cards that don't really like legacy BIOSes and don't really function with them, well, you end up in situations where adding an overclock and the extra instability just means the system will never post. But at the end of the day, I have gone through and done a little bit of extra benchmarking, mostly just some titles that people had requested that we missed last time, but also a couple that do perform slightly better here on Windows 11. It's more of an anecdotal test because Windows 11, in my experience, sometimes with games like GTA 5 you get less sort of world loading in around you because of better RAM management and a few bits and pieces like that. But anyway, are there any advantages to gaming over on Windows 11? And we aren't going to be doing full comprehensive benchmarks because there was an hour-and-a-half video last week in case you want those. But are there any titles and how is performance when we start gaming on a Core 2 quad on Windows 11 in the benchmarks. If there was one title that does at least seem to gain an advantage by running on Windows 11, it is GTA 5 Legacy, as even with stock clocks here, we're not running any type of overclock and we are running a weaker graphics card, we did see 34 FPS on average, with the exact same very high settings, with 1% lows down to 27 FPS. The main difference here though, there was much less of the world loading in around you, which sort of matters in a large open world game. I know a lot of this is down to Windows 11 RAM management, but you do benefit from that here. It's worth noting as well that this was probably the best experience we had on GTA 5, because with a 30 FPS cap in place, it ran pretty much bang up perfect. Honestly, with an overclock and this graphics card and Windows 11, you can still quite comfortably get away with the legacy version of GTA 5. We sort of already established that in last week's video, but Windows 11 does run it slightly better, at least when it comes to maybe not the frame rate, but the overall sort of playability in terms that you're not driving into a world of grey goo loading in around you. Heavily requested in the comments for some reason were people asking me to test Counter-Strike Source, so I went ahead and tested Counter-Strike Source. Yes, it runs perfect on a Core 2 quad. I'm fairly sure we already knew this because there are probably hundreds of benchmarks on this, but people were saying, does it still work in 2026? Well, I can quite comfortably tell you, even without an overclock, running Windows 11 and all of this nonsense going on in the background, well, you can run the game at 158 FPS, with 1% lows down to 131. The game defaulted to a mixture of low and very high settings, so low textures but very high everything else. I just sort of went with it, and while we were playing a competitive round of Dust 2, it worked fine. There's literally nothing else to say. Counter-Strike Source seems to run exactly the same as it did back in the day today. So you've got nothing to worry about there. People were requesting it, so here you go. Counter-Strike Source works perfect. There were a few requests for things like Project Zomboid, so I went ahead and tested Project Zomboid. Actually, to be fair, this is a really good tester processor because this is a popular title. Yes, it's an indie game, but it's one that used to work quite well on a Core 2 quad, but now as time's progressed, the game has got more intensive. And I didn't realise that when I launched into the game and thought, oh, yes, this does need tweaking around a little bit. The game is still playable, provided you drop to older or legacy settings, still with the latest version of the game, although a 30 FPS external cap is crucial, especially when there's effects like fog on screen or AI being rendered. So yes, you do have to do a bit of tweaking around. Once you get the game set up properly with a 30 FPS cap, it is surprisingly controllable. Zooming out will drop your frame rate temporarily to around 11 or 12 FPS, which then it will quickly bounce back up to 30. If you leave the game uncapped, the frame rate never stabilizes. The processor never gets time to catch up, and the game is pretty much downright unplayable. But provided you don't mind a 30 FPS cap, things like Project Zomboid are still very playable on the system with lower settings because, well, they are quite CPU heavy options. Given the frankly insane optimizations of the Fox engine, I can understand why so many people wanted to see Metal Gear Solid 5 running on the Core 2 quad, but it should also be no surprise that it runs pretty much fantastically with high settings, returning 46 FPS on average, with 1% lows down to 38 FPS. Honestly, if you weren't running a FreeSync monitor like I am, then you'd probably be better off going for something like a 30 FPS cap in place, but then again we're also discussing a 20-year-old processor, so really the fact this runs this well, it's credit to Metal Gear Solid 5, isn't it? This seems to run on absolutely everything we've ever tested. So the processor was definitely the limit here, but then again we also had a very fluid and very playable experience. We had already seen excellent Skyrim performance in both Linux and Windows 7 on this old Q6600, but as people have clocked on, the Skyrim Special Edition does actually include a useful feature that the Core 2 Quad can use, and that is multi-threading. So you do in fact get a better experience with better visuals in Skyrim Special Edition than what you do in the original vanilla version of the game that runs on DirectX 9, I believe. So yes, Skyrim Special Edition, it doesn't matter what you're doing, towns, cities, questing, lots of NPCs on screen, the Core 2 Quad does deal with it absolutely fantastically, hovering anywhere from 56 FPS down to around 49 FPS. It's also worth keeping in mind, this was with Ultra settings enabled as well, so no problems with Skyrim Special Edition, and it did use all 4 cores properly. It is of course well worth testing Minecraft, which is something I probably should have tested in our video last week, so this one is quite a glaring oversight on my behalf, but then again I did kind of expect it to work. With Minecraft, it runs absolutely fine with fancy settings as long as you're running with an 8-chunk render distance and simulation distance. Even then, it would be a little bit stuttery while the world loaded in around you. You can see that primarily when I'm moving forward towards a village, and then once it all loads in, we go straight back to anywhere from 90 to 110 FPS. So that is something to keep in mind. It's a 20-year-old processor. It is going to struggle a little bit when it comes to loading everything in and all the simulations, especially given how intensive Minecraft has become in recent years. I mean, it's not exactly the most intensive game in the world, because you're not going to notice it in the overall average, you're going to notice in the 1% lows, especially on chips like this Core 2 Quad. At the end of the day though, Minecraft, even in its current state in 2026 with no performance enhancements, does work perfectly fine on a Core 2 Quad. So good to keep that in mind in case you're keeping one around as your Minecraft PC and you've been using the same one for, well, since launch in 2009 pretty much. Pretty much when it comes to running Windows 11 for gaming, at least if you're running it debloated, there is very little in the way of performance difference compared to Windows 10, Linux, and Windows 7. They all have their distinct advantages, as we covered last time, most of them very title dependent on something as old as a Q6600, but even here, where we're running an Nvidia card, admittedly one with very low driver overheads, there's not a great deal of performance difference. At least there's no advantage to running Windows 11. It's not going to make titles that couldn't launch suddenly be able to. Games like Cyberpunk, even with their workarounds, still won't work. Oblivion Remasters still won't work. Even things like Rust will just refuse to load on a Q6600, and Windows 11 is not a solution for that. The one thing I will give it, certain titles do have what seems to be better loading times, just ever so slightly over Windows 10, and in some titles, the large open world ones like GTA 5, this can result in less of the world loading in around you. It's a very minor point, but it's something we've noticed on other hardware, such as AMD's FM2 lineup, where even on 4GB of RAM, with Windows 11 IoT, we were able to play through it without any real texture issues or pop-in, even on the iGPU, which was quite impressive to see. So yes, it does have some advantages, but not really enough to warrant using it over something like Windows 10 IoT, Linux, or even Windows 7. You can run it, but games are going to run about the same, occasionally worse, and a few times it might have better loading. Really though, it's not going to come along and save the Q6600. I'm fairly sure we already knew that, but the performance you see here, you pretty much get the exact same if you went backwards, and I'm sure if you manage to brute force later updates on here, I don't know if you can, then you'd probably get the same performance still. So Windows 11 on a Core 2 Quad Q6600, and I did think, you know what, we will go ahead and we will try and make this video, because some people in the comments were saying, you said you'd test Windows 11, but you didn't. Well, that's because it does have problems getting it running. Trying to run a modern AMD graphics card, yes, it's not exactly the best idea, but it would have been nice. You just can't do it. I tried driver workarounds, I tried different bits and pieces like that, and I think I need to spend a bit more time on it to try and get a modern AMD card stable. When it comes to using legacy cards on a legacy processor like this on Windows 11, yes, that does still work, and it works absolutely fine. And to be fair, once the RTX card had made it through post, it was pretty much bang up stable the entire time we were using it. It was a very smooth experience, and it's a shame that you can't buy the RTX 4010 in this country, but it's more than enough power for a Q6600, and given it hardly installs any driver features, it's quite, it's not very overhead intensive, to be honest. It works quite well. So yes, the video has been a little bit of a laugh, but then again, it is asking something stupid. Can we run the latest version of Windows on a 20-year-old Core 2 Quad? And the answer is yes. We've gone ahead, we've tested the actual built-in features of Windows 11. That's something I've never personally done before, and it works fine. It actually, it went past my expectations, because things like the game recorder, the video editor, and even some of the built-in games on the store do in fact still work. So yeah, Windows 11's a perfectly fine experience on a Core 2 Quad, even if you didn't want to debloat it, and the features will work. The thing is though, it's such a legacy processor that why would you go through the struggle when Windows 10 IoT just seems to work better, as does Linux and Windows 7. So I hope you've all enjoyed this video. I know it's been a bit of a laugh, but it has also covered some serious points as well, such as the performance deficit from non-debloating and things like that. It's just been a bit of a hodgepodge one, but something I did want to cover. So thank you all very much for watching. Hope you've all enjoyed and found this entertaining, if nothing else. So thank you for watching, and good night.